And then now we move on to discuss Osimhen. It's time to discuss whether or not Osimhen is the man to change the fortunes at Chelsea. Victor Osimhen. The rumors have been starting to ramp up again over the last few days. There was a long period throughout the start of the summer transfer window and the Euros and all that Osimhen was not really in the transfer radar. Things started quieting upon him. But now it seems like, it's starting to ramp up again. You see reports saying that Arsenal and PSG are actually also, join the battle. Or PSG's been in there, but Arsenal, they want to join in the battle to sign Osimhen. It's just, it's really, really interesting developments. I think getting Osimhen is going to be tricky for any club just because of Napoli's nature. Napoli's not really a team that's willing to, sell their players. Well, they are willing to sell, but they don't get played. They've never been played. You saw how long that they were able to keep Koulibaly despite the countless amount of teams that wanted because Koulibaly, he was quality. He was class for Napoli. He was absolutely brilliant for Napoli. And he was a real talent. And there was teams that were coming in for him over and over again. But he was able, or not him, but Napoli were able to hang on. They were able to hang on for dear life. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here with Osimhen. I know it's a little bit of a different setup right now where we are at Napoli than those times with Koulibaly. I think the president is different. But still similar in terms of, you remember what happened was Kvaratskhelia during the Euros, the back and forth between Napoli and him. Or Napoli and his representatives. This is not a Napoli team that's going to get played. They're going to get everything that they value, that they believe Osimhen is. They're going to get all the value out of him. You're not going to be able to, finesse Napoli. It's not going to happen. But, Chelsea, they have this thing where they can, they could offer some players as well, including Lukaku, who happens to be someone that Antonio Conte would fancy. Lukaku has played some of his best seasons under Antonio Conte. So I can understand why Napoli would want him. But again, you're looking at it from this point of view. Okay, how much value does Lukaku really take off Napoli? Osimhen, like 15 million maybe? Like, I don't see much more than that. Osimhen is, Lukaku, it's clear, like, Chelsea have no leverage when it comes to Lukaku. It's clear that for all sides, they want him gone. Lukaku will never want to play for Chelsea again. Chelsea would never want to employ him ever again. Chelsea don't have the leverage to try to negotiate with Napoli regarding Lukaku. The value for him is a fixed value, and that's whatever they deem, whether it is 10 million or 15 million. My point is, it's not like he's going to take much out of Osimhen's valuation. So I don't know what if that really will have a big impact for Napoli, and whether or not, in terms of who they like to send Osimhen to, whether it would be Chelsea or Arsenal. I'm not gonna lie, we can forget about it. I don't think they're gonna be in that deal. I don't think they're gonna have the financial will to go after Osimhen, when you look at the fact that they've already signed the likes of Calafiori. They're looking at revitalizing the defense. They have a hole at the striker, don't get me wrong, but I don't think there's a player that Mikel Arteta is gonna fancy. Not let me change that. He's gonna fancy him, but not at the value that is gonna be required to be able to sign a player like Victor Osimhen. I don't think that's gonna be possible for Arsenal. And then PSG is another interesting one, but I feel like Osimhen, he would want to go to Chelsea with Chelsea's African history in terms of players or Nigerian history in terms of players like Victor Moses, Jonabi Mikel. I'm sure Osimhen grew up as a Chelsea fan, so as did a lot of Nigerians are growing up because of that Nigerian players that played at Chelsea. And also, Osimhen, he's talked about in the past wanting to play in the Premier League. I think his style of play fits the Premier League in terms of his nature, his ability, his box ability. I think that's perfect in the Premier League. Physicality, pace, he has it. He also has technical ability as well. And as far as Chelsea, can he change the fortunes at Chelsea? I think Chelsea are sort of big time player away from really being able to compete at the highest levels. Kind of like what Liverpool were able to do when they brought on Luis Suarez. If you can get that goal scorer, someone that can come in and give you 25, 30 goals, that can take advantage per season, and that can take advantage of all the chances that Chelsea are able to create for their leading man, because they are able to generate a lot of opportunities. They just haven't had strikers in the past that's been able to be clinical. I don't think we're going to have that issue with Victor Osimhen. I think he's a very, very clinical player. And I think, yes, he's a player that sometimes can go on slumps, but he doesn't get too low emotionally. And he's someone that has a good control of his emotions and confidence, and is not going to crack in the pressure of playing in the Premier League with the English media and all that. But, yeah, can he change the fortunes of Chelsea? You never, one player could sometimes make the difference, especially with a team like Chelsea, whenever it's clear with the amount of chances that they create and how clinical their previous nines have not been. Sometimes it's clear like that sort of player could really, really make the difference. Victor Osimhen, extremely make the difference. And I think that's a sort of player that can really change life for Chelsea. I really think so. He can come in, he'll be able to get 25, 30 goals with the amount of chances that we create. There's going to be games that he bails us out and gets a point, maybe even, gets 3 points, steals it at the end. We're going to have games like that. He's going to make a big, big difference in terms of point differential. And there was already a sense of positivity, through the end of last season. So I think if they are able to get him in, I think that'll be a big, big impact. Whether or not they are, though, that's a whole different question.